What is going on, everybody? Tanner Pfeiffer here with the NFL Rumors podcast. We are broadcasting live to X, or formerly Twitter, right now. Check us out on all platforms, everywhere you listen to your podcasts. We will be there. Here with the ever famous NFL Rumors Twitter account. First, I want to make sure you guys know that this podcast is brought to you by Expand Sports. Connect with athletes, keep up with sports news and scores, gain exposure, and get recruited. Guys, check out expandsports.com. You can sign up for free at expandsports.com. How are you doing, NFL Rumors? Thank you so much for being here with this podcast today.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. Glad to be here for another podcast. Really excited with all the rumors heating up. A lot of the playoff games going on. A lot of surprises last week,
Yeah.
for
Oh,
sure.
for sure. Yeah.
And a lot of the rumors around the coaching changes that we had. And we got like a lot of great news, great rumors around a lot of the coaching moves. You want to stick around and hear all the rumors of your favorite teams, that who they might be looking at, who the hotbed rumor is that they could be going after. But yeah, we're, we're definitely right here for you to give you all that.
Yeah, and I wanted to go over our initial, me and you, our initial playoff reactions so far. Some things that need fixed for some teams, and then obviously we've got situations going on with these coaches, interviews, and some extreme, I think, very important developments going on. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. We just talked about it before we started broadcasting.
Definitely, definitely. We'll start in with the playoff reaction first.
Alrighty.
The one of the biggest reactions, one of the biggest letdown of the week was definitely the Cowboys and the Packers. Everybody thought that this was going to be the game that the Cowboys would go in and win. And then, a lot of people didn't have a lot of, I guess, a lot of thought that they might move on after that, but nobody expected Green Bay to do what they did to them, because the Green Bay DC has been up, Barry's been up the creek all year. Everybody talking about him like he might get fired, and then he pulls out one of the best games that we've seen in a long time defensively, game plan. It seems like they knew everything that was coming with the Cowboys, and Dak Prescott really struggled early on. Uh,
Yep. Oh yeah.
so we had a
And
lot of that going on.
if you guys don't know, I'm a huge Green Bay fan. I try not to be biased because I know I cover the NFL in general. So I cover, obviously, all 32 teams. I try to do it unbiasedly with fair opinions. But I was kind of happy to see that, obviously, as a Green Bay fan. Um, but yeah, I think Jordan Love has played great. They kind of crept back into the game a bit, but I didn't get to catch the last bit of the game, so I just saw the final score. So I don't know if they had benched Jordan Love or not throughout the fourth quarter. Is that the case or
Yeah,
no?
like really late they did. Like really late they
Okay.
benched Jordan Love, but overall Jordan Love had one of the best playoff games we've seen in a long
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
So that was outstanding what he did. Some of the throws he made to Dobbs. Dobbs, one of the leading wide receivers right now in the playoffs. So that was extremely great to watch, and what they did there. And the Cowboys tried to sneak back in there. Honestly, at
Yeah, that's what
the
I'm
end,
saying.
yeah, but I'll be honest there that they really was too far down to make it happen.
But my
Uh,
worry is the Packers always seem to do that. Fourth quarter comes around, they start just playing tons of zone, and they let these big old pass plays happen. And I mean, if that score was closer heading into the fourth quarter, Dallas could easily have taken the game. Like if it was a closer game, like that's just and I think that's being overshadowed by the victory because that's what Joe Barry has done all season long. Second half comes around and he just lets a lead up or something, you know? So I'm still skeptical on the whole situation there, but I'm so happy to see Green Bay advance. But they've got their hands full in San Francisco.
Yeah, definitely. We'll talk about that real quick before we have some more playoff reaction there. But yes, the Green Bay Packers going to San Francisco. 49ers have had their number. Kyle Shanahan LaFleur coached together. So reportedly, they're not on the best of terms, even though
Right.
that they coach together. So it'll be interesting to see what would happen in that game. They run honestly the same offense. So and pretty much, they both know what's coming. They run the same exact system. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there for sure.
Yeah, and as a Green Bay fan, I know how horrible defensively we have played against San Francisco in the past. They've just run all over us and make any running back look like a stud against us. But I'm excited. I hope Green Bay over prepares for this game and they prepare more than the San Francisco 49ers prepare. I mean, that's the hope for me at least. But they're going to have their hands full. It's a strong team.
Yeah, Jordan Love, a chance at the NFC Championship game. That I mean, that's a huge story, honestly. And if he could get there, I mean, it's the Green Bay's already made the right choice at quarterback. He's doing amazing things. So if he can get past the 49ers, that will be a big test already in his young career.
My thing is if they can get past the 49ers, who do they play in the NFC Championship? Or who would the Niners play in the NFC Championship? And do you have any Super Bowl predictions right now?
Right. So, in my opinion, I think San Francisco will win that game this week. Uh, and I think when we're looking at that, I like San Francisco and Detroit in the championship game, and I like the 49ers going to the Super Bowl.
I
In the
mean, that's
AFC, I
not
like
a bad pick.
Buffalo over Kansas City this week. And I also looking at the other one, I like I tell you what, I'm gonna roll with the Texans in the upset. Right, I like the Texans in the upset, but I do see the Bills and Niners in the Super Bowl.
Who are the Texans playing? Um, they
Yep,
just played the Browns, beat the Browns. Now they're moving on to take on who?
yep. So
I'm
the
blanking on it.
Chiefs, yep. So the Chiefs will play the Bills. The Ravens
Oh, the
will
Raven.
play the
Oh, of
Texans.
course, yeah. The Ravens are juggernauts right now too.
Right.
They've been on a
I just
roll.
see Texans rolling. I mean, I just see them in the upset. I know the Ravens. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Ravens. I love Lamar Jackson. With that, I just think when you get on a hot streak in the playoffs, anything can happen. The Ravens are a hot team too, but they have been off a week,
The
right?
thing is they're even with the amount of points that the Ravens have scored in the last few weeks, they're still for me just have always been a slower paced team offensively, not the gunslinging stuff that we're seeing right now from the Texans and CJ Stroud. And
Right.
is can they keep up with it? Marlon Humphrey, I think, was ruled out.
Right. One of the things that I'm looking at Tanner in that game is the big wild card is the Miko Ryans. The
Okay.
Miko Ryans can definitely call a game, call a defense. So, and he will put them in the best position to be effective. I believe, and they're a young team. I know a lot of people's probably like, hey, they don't have much of a chance against the Ravens. They're going to go in there thinking we don't have nothing to lose, right? And they're going to put it all on the line. That's exactly what Green Bay did last week with Dallas, right?
Yep.
They went in there, they're thinking we don't have anything to lose, right?
Like you got to win or you go home. And do you want to go home yet? I mean,
Exactly.
that's it.
Exactly. The Texans are going to look at it, even if they lose to the Ravens,
Yeah.
honestly, they're going to look at it as their season was very successful, right?
Oh,
Even
for
if they
sure. No
lose.
one expected this.
No, not at all. And Green Bay as well. Like whatever Green Bay, if Green Bay goes home with San Francisco this weekend, same thing. Green Bay had a successful season because this was kind of maybe a little rebuild for them this year.
But I'm not like if they're in the playoffs, man. Like just because they've had a great season and they're gonna say they've had a great season if they even if they lose, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be happy or content with a loss. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a Green Bay
Definitely.
player or a fan watching right now, do not be content if we lose. Be like, well, we still had a fantastic season. I don't think anybody expected this. Pump them up, get ready to go, over prepare for this game, be more prepared than the other team, and you can do it. Like you can go all the way. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I do too. We'll jump in there to the Texans Browns game. Nobody thought that the Texans was going to do what they did to the Browns. CJ Stroud was amazing as usual. Threw 3 touchdowns. D'Amico Ryans had them knowing everything that Joe Flacco was going to do going into the game. That was my big concern, was if Joe Flacco and the turnovers, and they did show up.
Yeah, I wasn't even able to watch that game to be honest. So how many interceptions did he throw, or did he lose
I
fumbles, or
want to
what?
say I want to say it was either 2 or 3, but that's been the mo on Joe Flacco. Even though he's played well, right? Even though he's played well with the Browns, the biggest thing his mo has been. I think if I'm not mistaken, he has 10 to 11 interceptions in his 5 starts with the
Oh,
Browns.
really?
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest flaws. And D'Amico Ryans, even there a video out there we put it on the page. D'Amico Ryans even told Christian Harris, said, if you go over there, act like you're covering the tight end, be a spy, you'll have a pick six. Next play, he threw a pick six right there to him. So D'Amico Ryans knows where to put people. He was very successful with the Niners. So he does know where to put people to make it happen.
Yeah, and he's a fantastic defensive play caller, smart man. I'm rooting for the Texans. Like I said, it's hard to be unbiased. Like as a Packers fan, um, but like it's hard not to root for the Texans right now too. So
De
I don't know.
definitely, definitely, man. I really believe that it's gonna be a good game no matter what, Tanner, and, I think it'll be a close game with that. The other game we wanna talk about is, the Chiefs was able to get a big win versus the Dolphins. Dolphins does not look like the same team out there in the weather. Chiefs was able to bring the cold. I don't think it was a terrific game for the Chiefs, but
No.
I think it was overall it was still a good solid win for them. The Bills, Josh Allen looked great in that game. Looked like a playoff Josh. So I think when you look at that, it's going to bring a really good game in KC. Mahomes, Allen again. I just think the home field advantage plays a huge role in that game, as it always
Do you
has.
think did you see that highlight or watch it live? Josh Allen, that like 54-yard rushing touchdown.
Definitely watch that, and then he threw one to one of his wide receivers there that made an amazing play. That was falling down to the ground there.
But do
That
you
was an
think Josh
amazing too.
Allen did the fake slide there? To me, that's
Maybe,
like Josh Allen really could have. I mean, after rewatching the tape and the highlight, the replay of it, he kind of did that stutter step side hip looking thing, and then just kind of went around him. And everyone, trust me, everyone defensively is going to be kind of afraid to just smack the quarterback because you're going to get flagged for it. So of course they're going to tackle him in the less harsh way possible, and then you add in the kind of fake looking thing he did. I don't know. That's just my opinion. What do you think?
yeah. When you do that slide, I mean, you're going to try to bait anybody, just like as a wide receiver is running down the field. If you run into somebody, I mean, even the wide receiver coaches teach them as you're running through, make sure you run through the player so they give you the pass interference penalty to you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So same difference. That's what they're looking at. But we're seeing
Wasn't
a
that
lot.
outlawed though? The fake slide?
Um, maybe
I know it wasn't college because it was actually Kenny Pickett that did it in one game in college and like got a touchdown, and then like a week later the NCAA was like, nope, like you cannot fake slide anymore. So I don't know
yeah.
if the NFL is.
I don't know if the NFL's done that either, but I think Josh Allen. Being a dual threat quarterback, I mean, it's going to be a big difference there. When you're looking at those plays, looking at making those plays. So I want to jump in now to some of the coaching news. As we put the rumor out, today, what one of the rumors that we were hearing is Bill Belichick, which this is not a rumor. He's having a second interview, right?
Yeah, that's a
But
fact
yeah, that's
or
a
a
fact.
report.
But the rumor is that this second interview is more of a contract negotiation. right? Because he's already spoke to the owner.
Let me make sure I'm hearing this right. You're saying the upcoming second interview with Bill Belichick, which is what scheduled for when tomorrow? Do we
I'm
know
not
yet?
sure the date on the interview, but I think so.
But
Yes.
you're saying it's a contract negotiation, more of a contract negotiation rather than a second formal interview. It's more of like a, okay, let's try to work out a thing. Both sides make sense.
I believe so because he's already talked to the
Oh,
owner.
wow.
He's already talked to the owner. The owner's willing to pay him whatever he wants because he's tried to get the big coaches before, but they wouldn't come to Atlanta, right? And I think this is more. He's meeting with the board there, right? And I believe it's just more or less some logistics. They get everything hammered down, and I think Bill Belichick when the smoke clears will be the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons.
Now, I remember last week we said our hot take was Bill Belichick to the Los Angeles Chargers. I still thought that was going to happen,
Hmm.
but they just got done interviewing Mike Vrabel tonight. But it's looking more likely that he's not going to the Chargers. But we did say the hot teams for Bill Belichick was who? The Cowboys,
The Chargers
Falcons,
and the Falcons.
and the Falcons.
Well, the Cowboys decided
Chargers.
to keep their coach, so that ruled that one out, right? The Chargers interviewed Jim Harbaugh, right? So
Right.
that could be something that's in play. They've also interviewed Mike Vrabel. They've interviewed a ton of other people like Leslie Frazier, the ex Stanford coach David Shaw. They've
Yes.
interviewed a ton of different people there. Mike Vrabel would probably be a very good hire there for the Chargers if they could not get Harbaugh. I would imagine that Jim Harbaugh's their number one as we speak right now at 8:07. Right, I
Yeah.
think Jim Harbaugh would be their number one, and I would imagine that Mike Vrabel, Dan Quinn will be probably like a strong number two for him.
Derek said 1 minute ago, Belichick would have an easier path in the Falcons division, right? And that was a big point that NFL Rumors has been making to me off of this podcast. He was saying, imagine the division. Would you rather choose to play in the AFC West with Patrick Mahomes facing him 2 to 3 times a season, and then maybe in the playoffs again? And then you got Denver, who's always got a pretty stingy defense, and then whoever they get at quarterback. Or would you rather be in, or would you rather Belichick, if you were him, would you rather take on the NFC South? Which you got the Saints, who didn't make the playoffs. You got Derek Carr at quarterback, just fired their offensive coordinator, looking for a new one. You've got Aiden O'Connell. I like Aiden O'Connell, and I know the locker room, I'm pretty sure, likes him a lot, but I guarantee they're going to be just exploring options at quarterback. And then you got who am I missing? The Panthers. You got Bryce Young and the Panthers, who just went 2-14 and are looking for a new head coach. So yeah, I can see it making sense that he would choose the easiest path, which would be the NFC South there.
And honestly, when you look at that, like Derek Carr, definitely, I've got a lot of respect for Derek Carr, but they got a lot of moves that they got to make because of cap reasons. The Panthers got a lot of moves that they got to make with a young quarterback. Then the Bucks is the most
Oh, the Bucks. Yeah.
the Bucks is the team with Baker Mayfield that might have the best chance that he would compete against. But he's already got Bijan Robinson. He's got Kyle Pitts. He's got Drake London. I
Boy,
mean, they've already
imagine.
got a top defense already.
Imagine if they actually utilized Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and Kyle Pitts. Wow, it's like, how have they not been absolutely targeting these
Yeah,
guys?
Bijan Robinson, you can ride him for a long time,
You
right?
could.
You can go for a long time and catch the ball in the backfield. He can do a lot of things. You add you a good solid quarterback. Even if you don't add the Justin Fields, which is a lot of speculation
Yeah.
that they might go after, but even if you don't add him, you add just a good veteran quarterback. I mean,
Yeah.
Atlanta's still got enough talent that they just need the ball in their hands, right? if they just give them the ball. Their defense played really well. Who knows that if Bill Belichick's not hired, that Wink Martindale might be interested. He's coached for Bill Belichick before, right?
Boy,
He's
that would
got
be a nice pickup.
right, like he's looking for that shot, right? He's looking for that shot. You got some of the other guys that Matt Patricia that he's had before. You got Josh McDaniels that he goes back to a lot for as the OC. I mean, they've got some really strong possibilities, I feel.
I think they really do. Um, we're right at 21 minutes, so we're gonna probably got about 10 minutes left. What is one thing? What are you wanting to kind of lean towards heading in this podcast in this episode?
Well, one of the big things today, everybody's been talking about Justin Fields returning back to
Uh,
Chicago. Right, but one of the big stories today is the Bears is going to interview Cliff Kingsbury. Right there, you go. Cliff Kingsbury was on the USC staff with
this
Caleb
season he
Williams.
was. He
Yep.
was
So
working with Caleb Williams, who was the projected #1 overall pick, and who has the #1 overall pick?
that would be the Chicago
The
Bears,
Chicago Bears. Yeah,
and they
exactly.
could.
So
And if that happens, if they go ahead and get the OC Cliff Kingsbury, I I would almost imagine that Caleb Williams is their pick. Right, I would
yeah,
almost guarantee that he's their
if
pick.
they hire Cliff Kingsbury, who is interviewing for the offensive coordinator position in Chicago, if they hire him, you just said it. He was a coach at USC this season with Caleb Williams, who is the projected #1 overall pick. Chicago Bears have the #1 overall pick. I mean, it would make too much sense, and that's what's brewing right now. If they do hire Cliff Kingsbury, it's almost like, okay, he's obviously got ties to Caleb Williams. What are they going to do with Justin Fields? Who do you think they should just trade him and get whatever they can out of him? I
Right.
mean,
Right. I do. I think that at that point they would trade Justin Fields to a team. And there's some people that would reach for Justin Fields, like had a late first round pick.
yeah.
They would definitely be interested in him there. One of the other things that you want to watch out for is we talked about Caleb Williams. He grew up as a Washington Commanders fan, right? Grew up as a Washington Commanders fan. He Washington Commanders had the second overall pick, right? So if Washington could trade up, get that first pick, the Bears could be sitting pretty. They could get a haul for this pick if they don't want to draft Caleb Williams, keep Justin Fields, have all kinds of first round talent, and still draft Marvin Harrison Jr. with the second pick.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's not Caleb Williams, it's got to be Marvin Harrison Jr.
And they could just trade down, get multiple first round picks, trade down, get multiple first round picks, go draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Right. And that's a tough decision. That
Yeah.
really is when you
But
could get multiple picks for your franchise going forward. The difference is the quarterback makes everything. You got to determine if Justin Fields is the guy over Caleb Williams,
yeah,
right?
or taking a guy who hasn't played a NFL snap.
Exactly. Caleb Williams did not win any game right against a ranked opponent, okay, last year.
Yeah,
So,
and what didn't he play at Oklahoma one season?
yes, he played right there, but that's who he went with his coach, right, over
Yeah.
there to USC.
So
So,
like
mhm.
he didn't really perform all that well against the other talent and with Oklahoma. It's not and that's not even like I'm going to say it the SEC is probably right the toughest division if not or the second toughest now. It's up in the air, but like he hasn't played against I think the best competition in football and
No,
collegiate
not
level.
No, not at all, Tanner. And DJ Moore really wants Justin Fields back.
Yeah.
He's really spoken out for him. And to add Marvin Harrison Jr. to that mix and DJ Moore, then you get multiple first round picks. You have a lot of talent if you want to go get a big offensive lineman. And the Bears are picking again down at the bottom, in the top 10 again. So I mean, it's a tough decision that they got to come up with, but
Yeah, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, was it DJ Moore,
mhm.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Justin Fields, and who would be their running back? Who's their running back?
That will be something, in my opinion, they will probably want to get better at. They
Yeah,
probably either want to draft a running back or sign a free agent. Like,
they have
and they,
Herbert there, I think, but
yeah, and
I don't.
remember, there's some big time running backs out there that's going to be available. You're going to have Josh Jacobs. You're going to have Saquon Barkley. There's a lot of good running backs out there that'll be available, and the Bears have a ton of cap space.
Yep, I
So,
think that's a. They're gonna have some decisions to make. I don't know.
yeah,
It's like, how do you
I
take a
agree.
gamble on a rookie quarterback when you know you've got Justin Fields, you know he can play well, and if you put better playmakers around him, a lot could change. That's
Exactly. One of the other things we want to talk about, just moving on from that, just really quick, is I really like the Seahawks and Dan Quinn. Right, I like that match for the Seahawks, as we mentioned before.
yeah.
I really do, and he's got an interview coming up with them this week. So it would be, they know him really well, they know what he can bring. The difference is, to me, Dan Quinn is just wanting to pick a good team because he knows this could be his last chance at a head coaching job if it's not successful.
I've
And they
said it before, I'll say it again. Dan Quinn is one of those guys. I think he's better as a defensive coordinator.
Yep, and the report today as well is the Dallas Cowboys are interested in bringing him back despite what happened in that last game. They are very happy to bring him back if he does not get a head coaching job. So
Oh, for
that's
sure.
something to
Of
watch.
course, they want him back. Like, he's great most of the time. Everyone is going to have a bad game defensively or offensively. It just happens.
Yeah, and
But
Carolina's the wild card to me in all this. Like, they're getting some virtual interviews for people, but Carolina, I think it has a lot to do with their owner, right? Like, they're leery of him because he fired his head coach, not even to give him a year. He did not draft the
Frank
quarterback
Reich,
that his head coach wanted to draft. I mean, people look at that. I think he's going to have to take one of these lesser named coaches, right?
my prediction is was it Brian Callahan?
Yep,
I
he's
could
getting
see
that
him.
second interview with the Titans.
Oh, is he?
So, yeah, Josina Anderson said.
Okay.
So, I will say that I would imagine that the Titans will see, what they think about Callahan there. I really like Slowick for Tennessee. I think that would be a great hire. The reason I say that is because you would take a strength away from the Texans as their offensive coordinator, and the general manager, Ren Carthon of the Titans, was also in San Francisco when Slowick was there. So, he probably knows him really well. And I think of the commander's job, which we've not talked about, which we'll touch on really quick, is I think that's Ben Johnson's. I really do. I don't see the commanders going away from Ben Johnson if he wants to come there and coach.
You
Right.
think Ben? I think we talked about this last week. You do not see Ben Johnson in Detroit next season.
No, I don't see him in there. I think Ben Johnson would have been a really good splash hire in Carolina. I mean, that's where there was a lot of rumors that he wanted to coach, but I think he's probably looked at the owner this offseason, and maybe that's not being what he really wanted to do there, man. But Ben Johnson, I think Adam Peters is really going hard after him in Washington, and I think
Yeah.
they got a high pick, right? They got the second overall pick. They could go get him a quarterback that he wanted. So I think Ben Johnson's got a lot of things. You got Terry McLaurin, a number one wide receiver. A lot of things there.
If not Caleb Williams, who's the second best quarterback in the draft?
Probably looking at the Carolina quarterback there.
Carolina.
Yeah, the North Carolina quarterback.
Drake May.
Yeah, that's probably what
Okay.
you're looking at. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep. He declared pretty early on after their season ended. So
Yeah,
he knew he was going to the draft.
yeah, he'll probably be the second quarterback picked. A lot of people speculate, or one of those teams could go and wait and get another late round pick. You got a couple different quarterbacks. You got Bo Nix that they could get later on. You got the JJ
Sure.
McCarthy.
Right.
from Michigan.
You think he'll be drafted, or like is he a late round pick? What kind of round do you see him going
I
in?
say I could see JJ McCarthy going in like second, third round. I could see him
Oh
going.
wow, yeah, I see him more like a 4 through 7,
He
somewhere
might
in there.
be. I mean, it could be, but man, this is a quarterback hungry league.
It
Quarterbacks are
is.
picked higher than you think. And that is could you imagine like if Jim Harbaugh went to a team, like if he went to a team like Atlanta, which I now Bill Belichick's going, but if he would have went with the team Atlanta, I definitely think he would have added a veteran and took a McCarthy late round
I
to
still
develop.
thought the Ravens were going to draft Stetson Bennett because they hired Todd Monk in
Yeah,
this
you know what? I
offseason.
wouldn't knock that out of the park. If the Rams part ways with him, I wouldn't knock that out of the park as them putting him on a practice squad or something like that, and just to set him back and give him some time to develop under a guy like Lamar Jackson. Even though they run a different offensive set, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that gives him a good shot. And the Ravens are known for this, going and getting a good player and letting him sit behind another player to develop.
Yep. They do that. Man. Now, is there anything else we missed that you want to talk about before we wrap this up today?
I don't think so. I think the biggest news that I really was working on today was the Bill Belichick to Atlanta. Big rumor out there that is supposed to happen as he meets there again. Jim Harbaugh, especially, is one of the big rumors. But
Yep.
one of the other big rumors we just talked about though with the Bears is the offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury going there. Um, I think that's pretty huge if he goes there. I think that will push them toward Caleb Williams. I really do.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I
It
think it
would
will
be
push
like,
them toward.
let me just get it on camera here. It would be like if they hire Cliff Kingsbury, number one pick becomes Caleb Williams. It was like this.
Exactly.
They don't
Robert
hire him,
Sala
it's
said
still like
last
this.
year that when they hired the ex-Denver head coach as their offensive coordinator, this has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. It had everything to do with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
Right?
Nathaniel Hackett?
Yeah, it had everything to do with Aaron
Of
Rodgers.
course.
Robert Saul said it had nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. It had
Yeah, of course they'll
everything to
say
do with
that.
Aaron
They
Rodgers.
got to say what they got to say, but
Exactly.
we all know. We all know the truth.
Yep. And there's some people that's going to take chances on people, Tanner, like Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, right? They're going to be people that take chances on quarterbacks like that, just for a shot to develop and make sure that they don't have anything left in the tank
Now,
that
will Trey
somebody
Lance
else
be
is
a free
missing.
agent this offseason?
Well, I think Trey Lance will get a chance to move on. I really do. A team that I have matched with Trey Lance is the Vikings. Even though if they do sign Kirk Cousins back, I think that will be a perfect fit for him. He sits back and learns under Kirk Cousins for a couple of years, and then they just give him the reins right after a couple years, like Jordan Love. I think he wants a situation like Jordan Love had. Set me behind somebody that I can learn from for a couple years.
But he's already been sitting. That's the thing.
Yeah, he has. He has, but I don't think like he was third quarterback behind Dak, and then he got the chance in San Francisco there, but I don't think he got enough of the chance. If you look at all the snaps and stuff that he got, I just don't think that the paper's written on him just yet. Mike Tannenbaum said the same thing, and I have to agree with him. He said, I don't think the book is written on Trey Lance yet. And I totally agree with him.
Not enough to judge him off of. Not enough reps.
But he's totally different than Zach Wilson's situation. Like Zach Wilson's had a good chance, right? He really
He's had
has.
like 2.5 seasons to prove it, or
Yeah.
maybe more than that now. I don't.
Right. Trey Lance, if you look at how many snaps he's had, I mean, he still got his book still to be written, Tanner, really,
I
to be
like
honest.
that. I like that you say that. That's cool. And I like that you see him as a Minnesota Viking. It would be a cool system for him to go into. Well, I even possibly see Trey Lance going to like an Eric Bieniemy team, maybe
Yeah, Eric
Commanders.
Bieniemy's an interesting one. There are a lot of rumors around him to the Raiders. As an OC, not as a coach. Wants
Really?
Antonio Pierce, which I feel that Antonio Pierce will be the hire. You know what
Yeah,
I
he's
mean?
got
For
to
the
be.
Raiders, there's a lot of rumors out there that he's going to be hired. I think he'll be hired, and then to get a guy like Eric Bieniemy, I think would be huge for their offense to go in. I think that would be the move. They all like Antonio Pierce or what he's doing. Raiders just has to go get another quarterback. What it comes down to.
Derek in the comments says Trey has one more year, but he will be an expensive backup for Dallas if they don't trade him. He is owed
Exactly.
$5.3 million.
Right, and I think what it is, the Vikings wouldn't care to take that on, right? If they look at that and put him behind Kirk Cousins, because Dallas doesn't seem that they're going to use Trey Lance as a backup.
They got Cooper Rush, who I think they signed to an extension this last year.
Yeah, just like Derek said, Max Crosby said, if you pretty much this is what Max Crosby's saying, Tanner, is if you don't hire Antonio Pierce, you not only lost your head coach, but you've lost your defensive end.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And I'm going to tell you who will be out next on the train for that.
Adams.
Devontae Adams will be next, right?
I think he secretly already is.
Yep. So when you look at that, like Max Crosby, you're not only losing Antonio Pierce, you're losing Devontae Adams, you're losing Max Crosby. You're losing your best player on offense and best player on defense.
I mean, think about it. Devontae Adams is already like seen Aaron Rodgers go down and realized, okay, this literally may be his like last go. And I can guarantee Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams have been in contact. I mean,
Yeah, I would imagine that they talked and things.
Yeah.
They're probably definitely conversations just between them, and just being as a backup plan. I do think Devontae wants to stay with the Raiders if Antonio Pierce is there, though.
Yeah, I
really
could
do
see
believe
that. But remember, Garrett Wilson also changed his number to like 5, what he was in college, opens up number 17.
It does. It does. There's a lot of speculation there with that, but I still think that the Raiders. He's his childhood team. He wants to win with the Raider. He's Mr. Raider. I think that he'll stay with the team as long as they try to keep going in the right direction.
I feel you. All right, guys. We've covered a lot in this podcast. So I appreciate you guys tuning in to episode 9 of the NFL Rumors podcast on season 2 here. The next time you guys hear from us, playoffs will have another round, and we'll give you our new playoff reactions, and we're going to be talking about some head coach hires. Hopefully, probably something is going to happen by then next week. So you guys are going to hear a lot of news from us coming the next week. Like I said, tune in all offseason long. We're going to be bringing you guys offseason news, projected signings, free agent signings. Last year we nailed it pretty good. What, like 90% accuracy?
Yeah, 85 to 90% for sure.
85 to 90% rumor accuracy. That's insane. So make sure you guys tune in. Follow NFL Rumors here on Twitter. Follow me too, Tanner5 for NFL. You can see it on the screen. Appreciate you guys watching, tuning in to episode 9 of the NFL Rumors podcast. See you guys.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate you.